Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. The NFL draft is in the rearview mirror, and it brings up some interesting conversations, some talking points. Of course, Tennessee had 3 players drafted in the 2024 NFL draft. Jalen Wright goes in the 4th round to the Miami Dolphins. Joe Milton to the Patriots in the 6th round, and also Kamal Hadden drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs in that 6th round. You can see on Vol Twitter, Tennessee all-time has had 47 first-round draft picks. And one of the talking points that I've seen over the last couple of days is, has Josh Heupel done more with less since arriving at Tennessee? Heading into year 4 of the Josh Heupel era, you look, obviously 7 wins that first year, 11-2 in 2022, 9 wins last year. And when you look at the numbers, right, and I think sometimes you can really deep dive and see what Josh Heupel has done here. But in 2024, in the NFL draft, Tennessee, again, 3 players drafted. Let's go take a look at the college football playoff. Let's look at the 4 teams that had a shot to win a national championship and compare how many players they had drafted versus Tennessee. And this is kind of giving you a gauge of the talent level that these teams are competing with. Michigan, 13 players drafted in this year's NFL draft. Washington, 10. Texas, 11. And Alabama, 10. And you could say, yeah, well, you know, Boogie, they only had 3 players drafted, but it's kind of a down year, only a 9-win season. And then I scratch my head and say, only a 9-win season? Josh Heupel coming off back-to-back 9+ win seasons, 2022, 2023. Tennessee's not done that since Butch Jones. You got to go back to 2015 and 2016 to get the last time that Tennessee won 9 games or more in back-to-back seasons. Prior to that, you got to go back to Phil Fulmer in 2006 and 2007. I think Josh Heupel is making a case here that he's doing more with less. We talk about the class of 25 and how important it is to continue to build this roster, to take that next step, close that talent gap when we're talking about Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama all having double-digit players drafted, while Tennessee only had 3 guys that got drafted in this year's NFL draft. And, well, you could say, let's go back to 2022, Boogie, when Tennessee won 11-2. That football team had a shot. They had a shot at a college football playoff appearance. They had a shot at a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in Hendon Hooker. So let's go back to the 2023 NFL draft and compare some numbers off of that 11-win team. Tennessee had 5 players drafted in that year's NFL draft. Georgia, this is again the college football playoff. Georgia 10, Michigan 9, TCU 8, Ohio State 6. So I think Tennessee needs to continue to close the gap. They need to continue to build talent. Could we see that coming up in this 2024 season? A lot of buzz out there about one James Pierce. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. But as always, I need you guys to do me a favor and smash that thumbs up just below the video. It's quick, free, easy. It helps the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. We're not experts here. We're not insiders. We're not media. We don't pretend to be any of that. This channel is for the fans, by the fans. If you like what we do, make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You're not going to miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. Even though I'm in the middle of a move, the office is now empty. We're in between this place and the next place. We're still going to be going live tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. We'll play some NCAA football. We'll talk all things Tennessee football, so make sure you join us for that. But let's get into it. Let's talk about this article, 2025 NFL Draft, way too early, top 50 big board. Now, let's kind of break down some of those numbers that I just talked about. How important is it? Do you need to be putting more guys into the league? Does that kind of show you the talent gap that we are trying to close where Tennessee's at right now versus where you want to be? But then on the flip side, again, back-to-back 9+ win seasons, I think speaks volumes for what Josh Heupel has been able to do. We talk about Jimmys and Joes versus X's and O's, and it's always a balance. You got to have the talent to compete at an elite level, but I think we've got an ace up the sleeve with Josh Heupel and what he's been able to do with his football team. But 2025 NFL Draft, way too early, top 50 big board. Let's scroll down and take a look. Number 1 player coming off the board, according to PFF.com, Pro Football Focus, edge rusher James Pierce Jr. Says here, Pierce became one of the most fearsome pass rushers in the country this past season. The sophomore's 21.3% pressure rate was 3rd among all edge defenders in the country, as was his 92.4 pass rushing grade. He ended the season as the fourth most valuable Power 5 edge rusher, according to PFF's wins above average metric. He has freakish explosiveness, 6'5", 242, and converts speed to power at an elite level. With the 2025 NFL draft looking like it'll have a weaker quarterback class, there's a real chance that Pierce could be the number 1 overall pick next year. Now, that's an interesting point. I saw a thread on VolQuest where they were having this exact same conversation. Some people were saying, hey, you need to pump the brakes on James Pierce. He's got to go out and prove it. I saw PFF had him going 8th. If you could take anybody in the country, any college football player, eligible or not, in the 2024 NFL draft, they had James Pierce going 8th overall. Now you're looking at 2025. A lot of quarterbacks went early in this 24 NFL draft, so not likely. You may see more defenders go early in the 2025 NFL draft. That plays into James Pierce's advantage, plays into his favor. And then you look ahead the next year, right? You kind of cycle quarterbacks, then defenders, quarterbacks, defenders. You look ahead to the 2026 NFL draft when one Nico Iamaleava will most likely be heading off to the NFL, and they're going to be looking to take quarterbacks. Could we see James Pierce taken number 1 overall in 2025, and then Nico Iamaleava taken number 1 overall in 2026? What does that mean for the program? What does that mean for Tennessee being nationally relevant and closing that talent gap? What does a number 1 overall draft pick mean to you? Well, Tennessee, you got to go all the way back to 1998. It feels like 98, Peyton Manning, the last Tennessee Volunteer to go number 1 overall to the Colts. You know, the last time before that, you got to go back to 1940. Does anybody know who the number 1 overall pick was from the University of Tennessee in 1940? I know you're going to use Google, but I dare you to put it in the comment section below. Those are the only 2 players in the history of Tennessee football to go number 1 overall. If Josh Heupel was able to put James Pierce and Nico Iamaleava into the league, number 1 picks back-to-back, what would that say? I think you might as well go ahead and build the statue. But you just look at early draft picks, right? Heath Schuler in 1994 going 3rd overall. Jamal Lewis in 2000 going 5th overall. Eric Berry in 2010 also going 5th overall. I just think, you know, it shows you what Josh Heupel has been able to do in just a short amount of time. But as we look ahead, I've said it time and time again, I think this 2024 season is crucial for Tennessee. James Pierce led this football team, had 10 sacks, 14.5 tackles for loss, 16 quarterback hits. Omar Norman-Lott also had 5.5 sacks, 6 TFLs. Bryson Eason had 5 TFLs. Omari Thomas had 4.5 TFLs. But I think somebody on this defensive line unit has got to step up and replace the production of Tyler Barron. And I know some people don't want to hear it. You can say what you want about him, entering the portal, going to Ole Miss, going to Louisville, then back into the portal, you know, the drama of Tyler Barron. But the bottom line is he was productive. He had 28 tackles, 6 sacks, 10.5 tackles for loss. Wasn't too far behind James Pierce as far as production goes. Who's going to step up and fill that hole? Is it going to be a guy like Tyree West? I think, you know, I've talked about Tim Banks in this defense. It's gotten better year in and year out. This past season, 5th in the SEC in total yards allowed, 5th in the SEC in passing yards allowed per game, 2nd in the SEC in rushing yards allowed per game. And that, you know, that starts up front. That starts with Rodney Garner's defensive line and guys like James Pierce. They were 8th in the country in sacks at a little over 3 a game, 4th in the country in tackles for loss at almost 8 per game, almost 8 tackles for loss per game. They continue to improve scoring defense year in and year out. Year 1, 90th in the country. Last season, 23rd. Can you crack the top 20? I think this defense has an opportunity to be something special in 2024. And I think Rodney Garner's defense is the cheat code. It gives you the advantage. It makes your linebackers better. Although I think we got a pretty dang good linebacker room. And then it makes your secondary better. That's the question mark for me in 2024. The guys that you went out and got, the Jermod McCoys, Jacoby Thomas, the guys that you added via the portal. You know, Jalen McMurray, we heard great things from him, the transfer from Temple. throughout spring camp. We also saw him get torched in the orange and white game. How much do you take away from that? But we'll see what this defense does in 2024. But I think the offense is going to be back to its form, and I think Tennessee has a shot at a run at a college football playoff in 2024 under Josh Heupel. A lot to unpack there. I wanted to take that video or that article about James Pierce being a #1 overall draft pick and just kind of go look at the numbers and see the talent gap that Tennessee still needs to close. Who's going to be drafted by Tennessee after the 2024 season outside of James Pierce? Let's unpack it all in the comment section. As always, do me a favor and smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. Go check out the Talkin VAWLS merch. You can go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. We would appreciate any and all support there. The link is also in the description. Shout out to the members of the channel. Appreciate the way you guys support what we do around here. You want to be a part of that, hit the join button. You can do that for $1 a month. You get custom Talkin VAWLS emojis, access to fan call-in shows, all kinds of fun perks and benefits. But that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.